welcome back to my channel, Caffeine and Lesson Plans. Today I have some supplemental curriculum that I want to share with you. Now, we plan on using this for the 2018-2019 school year, and this is something that we are going to supplement our language arts program with, at least for my to-be first grader and to-be third grader. So what I have for you today for this flip through is first language lessons for the well-trained mind, level 1 and level 2. Now level 1 is aimed at first graders, and level 2 is aimed at second graders. So this will be for my first grader. This one is going to be for my third grader, just because he's a little behind in grammar, and I want to make sure that we fill in any holes before moving forward. So that's why I went ahead and purchased this one. So I'm going to walk you through these real quick, just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So there are, you can see that, there are 100 lessons in this curriculum. And now, a lot of what is introduced in the level 1 book are like nouns and proper nouns, short poetry memorization, things like that. So there are 100 lessons. They're very short lessons. And at the end of the book, there is a final grammar review, glossary, and terms and definitions, and a list of poems. So this book begins with basically how to use this book. And the way that they see it, we underestimate what children are capable of learning. And sometimes when we expect just average from them and no more, then they kind of meet that average, but we don't ever see if there's, anything that they can attain beyond that. So by exposing them to above average content, we kind of raise our expectations, and children are are very bright, and they pick up so much so quickly, more so than we do as adults, and so we don't ever want to kind of cap those expectations of them and what they can learn. Also down here it talks about general thoughts on teaching language. They basically believe that if you teach the rules of language without practical application, it's kind of pointless. It's inefficient. They need to combine the simple rules of grammar and continued real life use of those rules in language to build a foundation for their application of appropriate rules. And so this will kind of build them up for the future if we lay that groundwork. The method, all the way down here, the method of this book says it combines the best of traditional content with examples and illustrations meaningful to present-day children. Okay, so the responses are scripted. It will also tell you kind of what the student should say. Now, the student doesn't have to say what it has listed verbatim, but they do ask that the child responds in complete sentences. That's kind of one of the lessons that they will be learning. Okay, so goals for grade 1. Down here it has the goals, and it says to train the child's ear by allowing him to listen to correctly spoken language. 2, to train the child's speech by practicing correctly spoken grammar with him. 3, to train the child's attention by reading aloud to him and having him narrate back to you the content or storyline using proper grammar. And 4, to teach beginning skills, grammar, capitalization, and punctuation. Remember, exposure, not mastery, is the goal at this level. This book uses a 4-strand approach. The first strand is memory work, and so there are some poems, brief rules to learn, definitions, that kind of thing. Strand 2 is copy work. Usually at first grade, they're not able to do a large chunk of copy work, so these are just very short exercises. And all of the lessons, let's see, up until, let's see, the first 41 lessons of this book are primarily oral. Beginning with lesson 42 is when the copywork exercises appear. Over here, it talks about the third strand, which is narration. It says, while the student is studying the basic principles of grammar, he is also learning how to produce original content orally. This will allow him to practice correct grammar at a time when he is still too young for extensive written work. So they have picture narration is one of the exercises that they'll do throughout this curriculum, also story narration. And then strand 4 is grammar. It says, the rules of grammar bring order to the chaos of words in a child's mind. Think of the study of formal grammar as the building of a room. So you're laying the foundation for appropriate grammar and use of the English language. At the bottom, it talks about using the lessons. The instructor's script is written in traditional print. The student's suggested wording for the answers is in italics. Notes to the instructor are in smaller italics. Suggested wording that the student is to read or follow is in larger traditional print, and then definitions and terms are in large bold print. And then at the end here on this page, see if I can get it in the picture there. It talks about the materials needed for this level, and that you can obviously gather these in advance or just do them, gather them when you need them. But the items needed for the first grade level are a map of your state, business size envelopes and stamps, a family calendar and a child's personal calendar, scissors, drawing supplies, crayons, highlighter markers, a tape recorder, colored construction paper, old magazines to cut up, and a flower seed catalog. So this is what lesson 1 looks like. So you can see how short it is. This curriculum is not meant to be a core or a spine for your language arts. This is purely supplemental, and that's what we'll be using it for. But here you can see they're introducing common nouns. Here's the instructor's script, notes to the instructor, a definition of a noun, more instructor's script, notes to the instructor, what the student should say, what the script for the instructor again, and then more notes. And like I said before, the first 41 lessons are almost purely oral. So it's a very kind of laid back, easy paced curriculum. Once you get to lesson 42 and beyond, you have some copy work. So I'll show you, these are the scripted and oral things down here. It says copy work. Choose appropriate length for the student. And if you can see that, the copy work is right here. There's 3 sentences, so they can choose a sentence to write. Now remember, these are first graders, so even, that's a pretty long sentence. That's quite a bit, especially since this is supplemental. This is not the only writing they're going to be doing for the day. So all of the lessons are pretty well the same. They do, like we talked about, there's some pictorial narration. And then when you get to the very back, let's see if I can find it. So this is the final grammar review right here. You have the glossary in terms and glossary of terms and definitions, and then the last thing is a list. Well, there is an index, but there's a list of the poems and the page numbers for those poems. So that's level 1. Level 2 is set up exactly the same way, except obviously it's set up for second grade level and not just first grade. There are 100 lessons with this as well. And this one will get into, it starts out kind of reviewing nouns and pronouns. Then you get into verbs, adverbs, adjectives, different things such as, let's see, addressing an envelope. What else? There is poetry memorization, interjection, parts of speech, writing postcards, addressing postcards. So things that you wouldn't necessarily think about for second grade, but stuff that they definitely can handle at that level. Life skills, you know, addressing an envelope is something everyone needs to know. So these are good skills for them to be learning. And then at the end of this book, there's a glossary of terms and definitions and a list of poems. So this one does not have a final grammar review. Once again, it's got the same kind of information about how to use this book. And the goals for grade 2, I'm going to read those for you. 1 is to train the child's ear by allowing him to listen to correctly spoken language. 2, to train the child's speech by practicing correctly spoken grammar with him. 3, to train the child's attention by reading aloud to him and having him narrate back to you the content or storyline using proper grammar. And 4, to teach beginning skills, correct grammar, capitalization, and punctuation. And even at this level, so those are the same as grade 1, even at this level, exposure, not mastery, is the key. You know, you're talking about grade 2, and we all want our children to be advanced, but really at this age, we're just exposing them to these things. As they get older, they will be able to master them and perfect them, but we just need to introduce them at this level. And then it goes into the 4-strand approach again. And then here you have lesson 1. So this one starts out with nouns. And you've got instructor notes, the student responses. And this one, let's see, this one doesn't have copy work yet, but this one does have copy work. So this one, you know, the first grade one waits till about the middle of the book. This one starts off right away with copy work. And like I said, the lessons are not long. It is paced really well. It does talk about how in this book you should do the lessons about, well, in both of the books, you should do at least 2 to 3 lessons a week. And if you take a summer break like we do, you shouldn't take like a 3-month break between their language lessons, just because first graders, second graders that age tend to forget a lot during those lengthy time spans. And so even just doing 1 lesson a week during the summer will keep them where they need to be, so that when you start back in the fall, they're not falling, you know, they haven't fallen or regressed back to where you need to play catch up a whole lot. So that is one of our supplements for our language arts program. I have heard great things about this, and so I'm really excited to use it. I think for my children, the way that it's paced, it will be a very laid back kind of addition, and I think it's going to help quite a bit. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, just put them in the comments box or the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed, just hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.